And we are live. Welcome to the Bard of All Trades podcast. I'm your host, BradElBard. And today it brings me great pleasure to have Nick and Brian on from Regular Car Reviews. I got to say before we continue, man, Nick is the reason that I believed in myself enough to do YouTube for a living. So Nick has been like my confidant and I've taken him out to multiple lunches and breakfasts about, is this a good idea, dude? I don't know.
Brain picking, and I always mention like Brian's the one who actually knows this stuff because he's the one who actually like does the business end of it and kind of understands certain, trends better than I do. But which is not to say I don't know things, but it's also the application of things is so hit or miss.
Hell yeah.
But
dude.
I feel like that's true of anyone who knows anything about anything. Like if you're, whether it's like music, like you don't know necessarily if like this certain song is going to work. There have been so many times where I've been on open mics like that you've been to, where like I try something new and I just fall flat on my ass. Like, but part of that was the fun of it, is that like you're learning essentially as you're doing it, and that's the only way to really grow while doing these things. Just have that experience. So I hope that like you learn and grow from this, and that this whole thing takes off, because you're a really good guy. Like,
man.
And you deserve this stuff.
Damn, I appreciate it, man. And really quick before we get further into it, what up, Nerda? So giant shout outs to my two sponsors here, and then a third Patreon supporter, Sam Diefenbach. I'll open with him. Make sure you guys follow that guy. He's a great dude. As well, if you guys like creative writing, sci-fi, and horror, check out Vedinian's website in the description. And finally, Valley Jiu-Jitsu. If you guys want to get a week free of Jiu-Jitsu and you're in the Allentown area, come and try it out a week free. Just mention the Bard's name and you'll be in there. So yeah, man, what's up, guys? We just got done filming a little
I need
skit.
to tweet that we're doing this. What's your YouTube channel?
If you go to my Twitter, I tweet out the actual like link to this video. So if you just retweet it or quote tweet it, just be like, yo, we're live, come join us. And whatnot.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we just filmed like a nice little vignette for an upcoming second channel video, because there's Regular Cars, which is the main channel, and then there's Regular and Roman, which is the second channel, which is where like, yes, there's car stuff on there, but it's also stuff that doesn't belong on the main channel, like our podcast, the RCR podcast, like I don't know, car show or air show videos. Like I know this year's Christmas music video will go on the second channel, and it's slow growing, but that's to be expected, because it's like having a large following on like a main channel doesn't guarantee a large following on the second one.
Of course.
It's just a way to kind of enrich the numbers for the main channel, I would assume, at least in regards to the quality of viewership that you're getting in terms of like longer engagement. And then when they go to your video page, they're seeing the things that they actually came here to see, and not seeing like my face, doing music video or something.
Well, I was talking to Brian about it like just moments ago, about like how the algorithm works, and it's crazy that like you guys kind of noticed a difference pretty much immediately from what you guys were saying, like right after you kind of started that second channel and migrated things over. And it blows my mind that like you even moved the car shows over there. Wow, so it's just regular car
reviews and no more motorcycles.
Wow. Wow, the motorcycles too.
Motorcycles, if I want to review a motorcycle, it's going to go on Regular and Roman.
Like
there are exceptions. The motorcycles that... This is going to sound like I'm knocking bikes. But I've had, 10 or 11 motorcycles throughout my life. And I love them. But the motorcycle community is so much smaller than the car community, because it's a self-selecting group. And it's also harder to learn to ride a motorcycle. So there's not that much money in it, with the exception of bikes that car people know, like the Suzuki Hayabusa, and like anything that says Gixxer or R6 or R1. I don't think we did an R1 yet. I can do an R1 eventually. And then like the bike that I'm really interested in riding and reviewing is the penultimate world's fastest bike before the Hayabusa, which is I love the name. It's the Honda CBR 1100 XX Super Blackbird. And it's this beast of a machine, but it's like the king of the old school bike, like the last of the old school carbureted bikes.
Oh, wow.
But it was a carbureted motorcycle that would do like 181 miles an hour. Oh. And it was just nuts.
Death trap, dude.
And yeah, but it was a tall geared bike. So yes, it was fast, but it wasn't like people think of R6s or like, you know, when you modify the Honda's Big Red Pig, what's that one? The XR650,
yeah,
or Suzuki's DR650, or even Kawasaki's KLR650. You modify those things, and then they just turn into wheelie machines.
Yeah,
and same goes with your 600s. That those things accelerate very, very fast. The CBR, the 1100 double Blackbird, that thing took a while to get up to speed because it was all high gears. But then it was just a big engine that just pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled.
Yeah.
And Honda thought that they ended the speed wars with that. They thought no one is going to do anything crazier because it was just them and Yamaha going back and forth.
Yeah.
And then out of left field comes Suzuki with the Hayabusa and like just ends it.
Yeah.
And it's like this thing will do supposedly 198.
Yeah.
But like there was a whole big thing of like whether it actually could do that out of the box. But you do a chip tune on that thing and then just then you're over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And then that was the end of it.
That's crazy, man. That's like an instant death if you fucking eat shit doing that speed too. It doesn't even matter if you hit anything.
I wish we had like contacts in like the film industry to figure out how to get investors to just do like the Speed Wars documentary.
Yeah.
Because that would be a wonderful project. Now, granted, like that would have to happen at a point where like RCR was so self-sustaining that we could just not do it for a month.
Yeah.
And you know, but it's something that goes back like at least 7 years of like that's the
story will always be there. And no one's really done
anywhere. And if people do it, Netflix has a new John DeLorean documentary out, which I'm like,
really?
How many documentaries are going to be made about this guy?
Yeah.
Like it says the guy who made a John DeLorean.
Yeah.
But like it's something where I always found his story fascinating, and I wanted to do an RCR stories on it, but I wasn't under any impression that I was doing anything unique in doing it, because it's like the first couple RCR stories were all inspired by things that I saw on Unsolved Mysteries, because that was like my favorite show, one of my favorite shows of all time. And you had the Dale, you had Mickey Thompson, you had John DeLorean. I believe that was an Unsolved Mysteries thing, but I wanted to go more in depth than you can go in a 15-minute Unsolved Mysteries segment. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that one video was super long. I didn't even get through it all the way. Yeah,
the AMC one was like the longest video I've ever done in my life, and I'm like, I'm never doing that again. I just ordered a book off eBay that had to be imported from, I want to say, the UK, because there's an individual for an RCR stories that I'm working on where information about him does not exist online, and there are no ebooks that you can get about him, just hardcover books, you know, just and so I ordered the book and now I got it here, and in the grand scheme of things he's a fairly minor, like I'll maybe spend like 5 to 10 minutes on him in this thing, but his story loops into the larger narrative that I'm talking about. So I feel like maybe I'll get something useful out of this. And so I finally got the book, and it's very nice. Mariah and Nikki, y'all in a school bus?
Yes, we are in a school bus.
It is a delightful school bus, very hot, but that is okay because
I think
have a fan running.
It's cooler than the Sarah.
Oh, the Sarah is a greenhouse.
Yeah,
because the whole thing is glass.
Yeah. When I sat in the
this
back of it, I'm like, oh, this is the one thing I don't like.
No, yeah.
Need AC.
You sit up front. It's cooler because you have the sunshades over the top of the doors to keep the sun from cooking you. But it takes like a while for the AC will work as long as you hit a maximum of 90-degree ambient temperature outside. There's been some days, you know, like last month where we had that heat wave, and the Sarah's AC at full blast couldn't keep up. It just slowly got warmer inside the car. So there is a limitation to what the Sarah can do. But over the drive over here, I was fine. You just yeah, at least a half an hour for it to cool. Now, actually, it got pretty cool. Well, by the time I got on 78, because I was able to start the. Wait, are half these magnets holding up these posters from hard drives?
Oh yeah, dude. Dude, good eye. That is
for people who are just listening.
Kudos, sir.
I'm seeing like the little like the little ones that you ordered, like the little square ones.
Yeah.
But then I see half moons. I'm like, wait, I recognize where those things come from. You bust open old IDE hard drives that no one uses, and
the hard disk drive ones.
Yeah. Someone says, "Welcome RCR crew." Hello.
Hey.
That's the sponsor, Vedinian.
Hello, Vedinian.
Thank you, dudes, for keeping his hands doing my automotive technical publication work. Happy to help you, Paul. I saw you on Instagram message that you were going to tune in, and so I appreciate that.
Much obliged, man. And I'm slowly playing catch up with your guys' even second channel. So like any of you that find interest in the Bus podcast, if you want to hit that subscribe, it helps your boy very much, and it's a free thing you can do.
Yeah, this is a very nice environment in here.
It's a great
dude in the autumn time, dude. Like you can just go, like you just have the cooler of beers, and it's just I can sit two guys on your chair and they don't care.
Well, I wanted to be.
You're in jeans, bro. I'm like, bro, I can't let you sit next to like Brian. You guys are gonna be sweating so much.
I dress the same way year round.
Yeah,
because that way I don't have like spring and winter and fall clothes. I just have my regular wardrobe, and it's always jeans.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's like wearing shorts. Wearing shorts feels weird to me, and it always has, even when I was a kid.
Just letting the legs out.
One pair of red denim shorts when I had as a kid that I thought were like the coolest thing in the world, and it's like, who on earth has red denim? But I was just like, yeah, man. Like 10-year-old me with my San Francisco 49ers cap that I called Cisco because I was watching Deep Space Nine all the time in syndication.
Hell yeah.
And because it's like you could only get Deep Space Nine at like 1 a.m. for some reason on my local stations. And so that was bizarre. But yeah, I just, I don't know. Like the heat will pass because granted, we've been getting a lot of rain lately. And
dude, you want to know something crazy? When it rains, it cools the bus down insanely. Like if you touch like this, so the solar panels are maybe up to just past this light here. After that, if you touch the ceiling of the bus, it's so hot. Wow. It's insane how much even the black solar panels, they just insulate with air going under them to this roof tile. It's insane, dude. Yeah.
I mean,
but when it rains, dude, it cools the thing down. It's nice. It's nice. It's very nice in here.
I mean, you've had a lot of like my favorite PA-based musicians on here.
Well,
I guess
Matt
Bailey isn't PA-based anymore. He's in California.
Oh yeah.
But,
well, I guess he's based here, right? Like that's where he got his start.
Yeah, but like
maybe
Rachel Dodson, she has a new single out called Ferris Wheel, and it's really, really good. Like I think that might be my new favorite Rachel Dodson song. Because I don't know, she's like really talented, and I'm jealous of how many instruments she can play. Yeah. Which I don't know if it's more than 2, but if it is, then I'm even more jealous. Yeah. I'm jealous of how many instruments you can play. Like, because Brad was like the guitarist and just general like co-composer for some of the songs on Tracklist Bro, which was the first RCR album. And so, like, there were some things that you had the mind to do that I never would have thought of. Yeah. That I'm just like, hey, could you play this? And it goes like this. And you're like, okay, I'll take that and run with it. And you had your little, like, that pedal. And you were just like, here are all the settings. Let me go through it. Hey.
Yeah. Which one do you like? Yeah. Yeah. Like, dude, and you know what's crazy, man? Like, I've gotten drastically better with, like, my composition. And I got to show you this. Yeah. So I actually have a show coming up. I have another one actually coming up in Orwigsburg, which is kind of in your hood at Roman Delight. That one's in October. The link to my upcoming shows is in the description, by the way, if anyone wants to come. But I got this thing recently, and I live, dude, like fuck around with it. It's like a game of Simon. Yeah, press the A to change like the sounds. Yeah, dude, this thing. I'll bring that with me. It's like a fidget spinner for musicians, dude.
Dude, that is
but
so cool.
I actually like
what
use
is it for.
It's like it's advertised as like a toy for experienced musicians, but also like a way for non-musicians to get into music easily. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because one of the things.
But I'll live loop that for my show now. Like instead of beatboxing, like I'll try to drum with that. Some songs I still beatbox, but
yeah, that's really cool. I mean, when I you know Alon, right?
Yeah, dude,
I
had Alon on the show actually.
Right,
we talked about space.
Yeah, talking about space. Yeah,
that's his sticker.
Because Alon's like a freaking scientist. And
yeah,
like
dude.
Like anytime there's anything space related, like that's the guy you want to go to.
What a segment. Yo, so
that would get annoying.
Yeah, no, I love it though. Definitely worth checking out. It's called the Artifon Orba.
Wow.
I think I have a link to it with an affiliate link in the description if anyone wants it. Anyway, I have a question. So and this is like a car related question,
okay,
right, that I came into that annoyed me because a friend of mine's a mechanic and he said that this is a bad thing for engines, but I wanted to hear your guys' take on it. These vehicles now that come with the feature where you stop at like a red light and the engine stops.
Oh yeah.
It's supposed to be like a fuel saving thing, right?
We're doing this. The review that's coming out this Monday is a car that does that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I see his point and I see the manufacturer's point. We have CAFE standards and cars have to get a certain or have the potential of getting a certain amount of miles per gallon.
Okay.
And it is true when a car is stopped, you are getting negative miles per gallon. It's just burning gas for no reason. The cheap way of having a start-stop is to just use the starter motor to just crank the engine real quick. Hit it minimally. Now that, of course, wears out the starter motor, and eventually you'll be staring down the barrel of something like a $500 repair bill or more, depending how hard it is to get and replace that starter motor. Yeah. And also the teeth that engage with either your flywheel or your clutch or what have you. Not sure how it works with a CVT. That's my opinion on it. What was your mechanic's
he was
about?
just saying like starting and stopping an engine in frequency like that is bad for it in like the long like lifetime. And
yeah.
He was saying that it's a feature that a lot of tech companies are even doing this now where they're kind of building in the lifespan of the device. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Making it so like if something takes a shit, it's just so expensive to repair that you may as well just
Oh yeah, it's like that with CVT drives or
Yeah.
CVT transmissions. It's not worth trying to repair this thing. Just buy a new one for how many thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Around here where you can do a lot of highway and you know, once you get on 78, fine. You're just rolling. And around here, it's a little bit built up, but traffic does move. But yeah, if you're in a city and it's stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start.
Yeah.
And that engine is not, the oil pump is not pumping oil through the oil cooler and all around. It's just sort of sitting there. Then yeah, I think from his perspective, then yeah, you'd get hot spots and something's going to wear out. Could be valves, could be piston rings, could be crank bearings, could be any number of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was just pointing out on the chat, Box Fossil says the feature is pretty bad for cars. They can beef up the starter, but it'll starve the pistons and crankcase of oil.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Just like you said.
On the oil starvation. Yeah.
Interesting, man. Well, I didn't even think about the oil starvation thing. Like that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Oh, and then also your water pump isn't running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I had that with my and diesel guys will know this. You run a diesel for a while. You're running on the highway and you stop at Wawa or Sheetz, let it run for a little bit, let it cool down, let that coolant circulate throughout the water jacket into the radiator, and the fan's probably running at that point, and let it drop a few degrees rather than just turning it off, especially if it's turbo motor.
Yeah.
Give that oil temperature a chance, give the engine cooling system and oil cooling system a chance to drop that temperature. Because if you just turn it off, your temperature then spikes, it goes up, because the engine still retains that heat, but now the water your coolant stop, the flow stop, the oil stop, everything stops, so it sits in that heat, and then that's how. Now, is your engine going to explode?
No, but still.
But you're going to wear out the little things. The engine could, on the long run, nickel and dime you. Now, if you're buying a lease, if you're buying, a Jeep Renegade, that's worth nothing.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Drive it. Can I use profanity?
Yeah, please.
Okay, all right.
The Renegade's the one with like the
little
X on the brake
yeah.
lights.
Yeah.
Those things I've heard. Yeah, I think one of your reviews.
It's a cheap SUV. I don't think we ever did one.
No,
they replaced, I think, the Jeep Liberty, which is equally garbage.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember seeing some video on it and just how bad they are. I just assumed
Cheap
it was
car.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of this is death by 1,000 cuts, and
Yeah.
I wonder if
Do you have recycling?
Yeah,
or you just throw it in there.
yeah.
I wonder if
There's another water.
there would
Get it
not
out of the
be a
Oh, yeah.
more appropriate way of tackling this issue.
Electric car.
Well, I mean, okay, so back in, I want to say the 1960s or so, like Saab had this feature that was known as like the freewheeling mode, which would basically like decouple or like disengage the engine from the transmission
Yeah.
as a way to sort of mitigate like oil starvation.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if like maybe not that exact thing, but something along those lines could be somehow engaged with this stop-start engine sort of weirdness in a way that could allow for less, oil starvation, so that you're not getting all these little problems that amount to just, like you said, like a huge, well, relatively speaking, mechanic spill.
Yeah.
Where, I mean,
The EPA, well, they're meeting the EPA laws at the expense of the second owner of the car.
Oh.
The first owner, yeah. So it's just like Volkswagen, fuck the next guy.
Yeah. I think Ben McElwee, our buddy who helps out sometimes, kind of said something along those lines about the Passat that we did, of just like, this is a total like fuck the next guy car.
Yeah.
Damn.
Because it's just one and done, and one owner and done.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be prohibitively expensive for another person to get it back into a working condition after the bloom is off the rose.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
Speaking of Volkswagen, though, I did just finish your Dieselgate video that you have up.
Yeah.
Dude, that one was so well done. Like, I love your documentaries,
Oh,
dude.
thank you so much.
Like, I think you definitely have a knack for just like your alliteration, like not alliteration. I mean your like your metaphors and shit, like just the way you relate it to stuff. Like, I can tell, like, God, like Nick is such a man of the English language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was yesterday, like my girlfriend was telling me that I have like a good story voice.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
because I go into like
Kept me
story mode
engaged.
when I'm reading something
Yeah.
without meaning to. And so I'm like, well, okay, she's biased, but
Yeah.
but also I believe her to
Yeah.
where like I usually don't believe those things when I hear them
in like a
other
comment
places.
or something.
Yeah, and I want to, but it's like that piece of that nagging thing in the back of my brain that's like, oh, but what if they're just being nice? Whereas like I just want to like take the compliment. Take the compliment.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be taking time out of their day to say it if they don't mean it.
Yeah.
It's like when I get compliments about my Mustang at like Sheetz or Wawa, the only two places it ever happens, and I always have to do that immediate like concern of whether or not they're
Scanning for sarcasm.
Yeah, scanning for sarcasm. I have no sarcasm detector whatsoever, and so I just take it at face value, because it's like they don't follow it up with, oh, by the way, just kidding, thing, and speeding off.
Yeah, like that one guy who was like, just kidding, like he wanted to know about the bus and then just said, oh, just
yeah.
And I'm like, I have a whole thing about people who like pretend they're interested in something and then like say, I'm just kidding. And I'm like, you realize this guy, Brad, he knows a few things, and he knows a few people, and he's this BJJ instructor, and you're another guy who works at a separate gym. Maybe you should take his card.
Yeah.
Who knows where the networks in life go?
Yeah, like I'll bet you we have like 2 mutual friends on Facebook or something, you know?
Yeah.
Just like one gym rat to another.
Yeah.
Hey, let's say hi and not immediately start off with, and I get it. It was just like a weird bit of humor, but
yeah.
I don't know.
People are
thinking about all the times that all the bridges I never crossed, like when I was in my 20s, because I was trying to be cool or look cool.
Oh, for sure,
yeah.
for sure, dude. Yeah, like I stopped caring about looking cool for sure.
Oh, sorry, we got a question.
Oh, for sure.
Do you got? Oh, sorry. Did you want to read it?
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take this one. It's nice that you're looking at it too. It's cool that you usually do it on yours, but yeah, I'll take this one. From Vedinian. Do you guys think fuel cell will propagate and grow, or will battery powered find itself good enough for the general population? Most likely, there's room for both, though.
Okay, fuel cell. Good, excellent question. It looks right now that your traditional lithium battery packs, and also Honda's use of now, I think it's called hydrogen nickel or hydrogen cadmium. It's one of the two. It's an evolution of the old. Do you remember NiCad batteries?
Yeah.
Like you put them in a flashlight, and in an hour the flashlight's dim. Like
yeah.
they were the first generation of rechargeable
nickel
batteries.
cadmium. Yeah, that's what those are.
Like I have a few like Ryorbi like things for my drill.
Yeah.
But they're old NiCad batteries. You use it for like using the drill for like 15 minutes, and then you can tell, oh, it's getting weak. It's getting weak.
It's like, come on, finish the job, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. But now it's like with like if you have the lithium battery packs, they just run, and then stop. Like, oh, and then gotta get the other one. Like you never know when they're gonna quit until they just die.
Yeah.
So, the thing about nickel cadmium is that they could be charged and discharged again and again and again. They held up better to being charged and discharged, even though they don't carry as much energy in them. Whereas lithium batteries, tons of energy, but you can't discharge them, and you can't charge them that fast because they get hot. And we had the whole thing with like the Samsung batteries that you couldn't. They were wary. You don't want these on an airplane or something.
Oh yeah.
Because so Toyota has been working on this technology called. They're using hydrogen somehow as a catalyst, like within a sealed battery, because they want the battery to be able to be charged even faster. Because that's the thing. Oh, it takes forever to charge. I'm like, fuck you. It takes 45 minutes.
Yeah,
you realize that insanity that we can cycle charge a battery that fast in the amount of time it takes to have like a medium lunch.
Yeah.
Like just like brunch. That's 45 minutes. You can hang out at a Starbucks for 45 minutes. But anyway, so you're asking about hydrogen fuel cells. These are two different infrastructures. A hydrogen fuel cell requires you to have a pressurized tank of hydrogen in your car. And people think about that. They think about like the Hindenburg blowing up.
Yeah.
Never mind that every one of us is rolling around with a tank of napalm just in the back.
Seriously.
Yeah. We're well aware that the car can catch fire. Yeah. And we're just sort of fine with that, but somehow hydrogen, well, whatever. So we find ourselves in the same predicament that they were in around 1910, where we didn't know which fuel source or energy source we're going to take over with personal vehicles, because that was the time when steam, electricity, and gasoline, diesel were all neck and neck. We didn't know which was going to win, and it's whichever infrastructure got cheapest fastest. And right now, it is cheaper to manufacture lithium batteries than it is to manufacture and distribute, because we already have half of the infrastructure already done for these fast charging stations. It's just 3-phase power, like any welding shop would have, that you can have a fast charger. Whereas, okay, now you need to sink in a pressurized hydrogen tank and have it be able to withstand a truck driving into it or some crazy guy with an IED with his own personal mission for whatever that he wants to blow this thing up. We already have the power there. A lot of these networks, and I was talking to a guy at my gym who works, I think, at one of the natural gas plants, electricity, natural gas power plant, somewhere in Berks County. And he was saying, I asked him this very question, can, like, your district or wherever that this particular place sells electricity to, can you take, if we had like half of Berks County charging up 240 every night? And he said, oh yeah, we already did the calculations, we're fine. So I think for now, lithium battery packs in cars, or maybe this new hydrogen one, it's going to be EVs right now have the lead. I'm trying to think of a place where you would have to have hydrogen, where you would need a hydrogen tank, which has comparable range to an EV, but you would need it to be refilled instantly. Because now we always have talk of people, are we gonna do hot swapping batteries?
Oh yeah, I've heard of that kind of stuff.
I don't see people disposing of them properly unless the disposal
it would have to
on
be
site.
It would have to be some sort of weird automated thing where, or you would have to have workers be able to pull a battery pack out of the car, but the logical place for a battery pack is under the floor to keep the weight low so the car handles really well.
Exactly.
So how are you going to pull this thing out of the side? A cartridge that pulls out of the side of the car, puts it back in, and now it has to be locked in there in a way that, I know this is oversimplifying it, but the batteries in a remote can jiggle loose.
Yeah.
Is this thing going to jiggle loose after you take your crossover EV out, up a fire trail, and then oops, something rattled loose, now it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that would be pretty rough.
So as of now, the battery packs are going to be only serviceable at a dealership, and they're going to be a pain to get to. Yeah. But they're going to be, what are you doing?
Out of control. I'm like, I felt like a weird twinge in my gut, and I think it's because of the coffee that I had.
Oh man, yo, if you need to use a bathroom.
Oh god, no. It's like a weird. I had the colonoscopy. I'm fine. Yeah. It's just like
mixed body stuff.
Yeah, it's weird body stuff, and so I'm just like squish, squish.
I'm with that
because it feels good.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't like having a gut, but like I don't mind having a gut.
Sometimes you got to give yourself some squishies.
But yeah,
that's all you got.
Do you know any of those like conspiracy theories where it's like a guy came up with an idea for how to like figure out how to do fission to water and make like the hydrogen and oxygen and that turn into the fuel, but like they got assassinated? Like I feel like I've heard some stories about like patents like that got formed.
Yeah, Bill Burr was talking about those.
Yeah. Do you know anything about that?
Hydrogen, able to get hydrogen out of the water without using more energy to split
the molecule up. Yeah.
I mean, we did that experiment in science class where you just boil the water and then you can get the hydrogen out, or there was something, or electrolysis or something like that, where it got it out, and then you could light it on fire and it would pop, and but you realize that it took so many BTUs of propane to get this little amount of hydrogen.
Yep.
So, it's
yeah, it makes sense.
Man, I was so terrible at science.
That's funny.
I almost burned down my school science lab because those little faucets that you turn on for gas.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I do not know for the life of me what compelled me to do this. I guess it was curiosity, but I had one of those little the clip things that you put in to light to create a spark.
The flint.
Oh
yeah,
the
flint striker, yeah.
And I turned it on, just hit, and it creates this huge
it's a big flame, isn't it?
Oh shit!
Look around. It was a completely full classroom. We were all doing our projects, but somehow nobody noticed that I did it. I'm just this could easily have burned somebody's hair off.
For sure.
I would be in prison to this very day, even though I was like 15, I'm sure. But still, it's like, hey, what are you in for? Being a fucking moron. It's like,
all right, yo, I have a scenario question for you guys.
Shoot.
All right, you have $10,000. What car do you get?
Only 10 grand.
Yeah.
I would find an S197 that was like decent enough at 10 grand, because Red Betty was for.
Oh yeah, I saw one at 9.5.
Yeah,
in Warnersville.
Yeah, and so like for 10 grand, that'd be
That's
good.
the 0409 generation one.
That is 05 to something or other.
Yeah, I guess it's 05. It's 0509.
Yeah, because his SN95 is the last of the S195.
Yeah.
And 2004.
And it's kind of like a sort of, because Red Betty was 4,400.
Yeah.
I talked him down from a whole 45, so
yeah,
I got $100 knocked off. But yeah, that's immediately where I would go to, like right away, is like, what other Mustang could I get? And obviously, I would want to go the next one up, because we've been talking about this for a while. And
you think you can get a Terminator for that price?
For what?
I got my 99 Cobra.
A 99 Cobra Terminator
for 6,000. Around like 6,500, something
now,
like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what year is yours?
Mine was 99.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that, yeah.
And that one didn't have the turbo, right? The 99 Cobra is not like the Terminators. I think like only 03, 04 were the actual Terminator Mustangs that were turboed.
Brad, you have a question there?
Oh, cool. Let's see. Fraction of stations for fuel cells. Thanks for the answer. Brad, there was a new development, nuclear fusion. Did you see it? I didn't. Post a link in the Discord.
That's more of a question.
Everyone join the Discord.
It's more of a question for Alon.
Yeah,
Alon
for real.
Lift, who's like science man.
Yeah. But what about you, Brian? 10 grand.
All right, this is a car I'd buy not because I want to drive it. I mean, it'd be fun to have it for a little bit, but this would be me flipping it. I'd search for a YJ or a TJ Wrangler, as clean as I could get it. And then I just use my detail skills to clean it up and then sell it on. I don't know. They exist. I mean, it would be one that would I probably need some seat covers, because usually those seats are garbage. So, yeah, probably Wrangler if I could find one for 10.
Fair enough.
And
I got my
sell it on for 15.
04 Jeep Wrangler. It's a 4-cylinder, but it was only like 8,000.
Yeah.
So it's definitely realistic to find like a good 6-cylinder one. That's what you would want.
Like a car for me to enjoy.
Yeah.
Would be for $5 grand.
10 grand. 10 grand.
10 grand.
10 grand.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get a 3rd gen MR2 for 10 now.
For 10 grand?
Maybe they exist.
What's the one you had?
First gen Mark 1B. So it's the revision of the Mark 1.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that seems like
slightly
a tall order.
different transmission and different body standards, but no 5th gear pop out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at there's an ongoing search for me trying to find a 4Runner to be the new camera car.
Yeah.
I looked at.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
I looked at one. A guy had one on Craigslist. He was a flipper, and we looked at it out by the Lehigh Valley Hospital. There was like a gas station. We just met. He was selling it for $10,500. 183,000 miles. Mileage isn't really the problem.
Yeah, with the Toyota,
but it's
right?
but the 4Runners, you always got to watch out for rust.
Oh,
the frames, they like, the frames isn't a problem, and they kind of were. And there's been from 2003 to 2009, the 4Runners, they never really had a recall, but they just settled a whole bunch of lawsuits about the frames rusting out.
Yeah.
So, but now with the shortage and everything, I was talking to the same Ben we were talking about before, and he says, I think if you want to see this one, it was kind of beat up. The guy didn't even clean it when he brought it to me.
Oh, wow.
And there's like dog hair on the inside, and there's rust. There's some rust that I didn't like. I think I still have some pictures on my phone that the subframe connectors were starting to look like Doritos.
Oh, yeah, just like yours.
He looked just all crusty.
Man, that's such a... I mean, I feel like that's going to be a problem.
Like, I would have been a buyer at 8,000. And like the guy didn't even clean off the battery terminals when he showed it to me. They just they just had like the Powerade mix coming out of them.
It really does look like protein powder. It's just like, screw it.
Yeah.
We got the micro green.
Yeah, there's
powder.
the subframe connectors. They're just.
Oh wow.
That's
dude.
an inspection
That's
fail in like a year or two.
It looks like Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
Or the consistency of Jabba's skin.
Yeah. There's like the rust isn't bad, but that was an $8,000 truck, not a $10,000 truck. But I told the guy, like, I'm going to pass because the number I'm going to give you, you're not going to like. And he says, well, that's fine because the price is firm. And I'm like, well, okay. Get back in my Sarah, pull the door down and leave.
That's what I like about you is you're willing to tell someone that, like, if they're not willing to negotiate, you just like boom, and it's no hard feelings. Me, I'm like so hypersensitive. I would probably be like, oh, I feel bad. All right, I guess I will meet him on his price. That's why it's like,
it's not a terrible, like right now, you know, total seller's market. And I was talking to Ben, and he said, I think you need to resign yourself to $20,000 for a decent 4Runner. And I'm like, that is so much for a car, because I lived my life of that. Sarah is the most I've ever paid for a vehicle, with the exception of the Falcon. The Falcon, when I was done with it, I was about 17 deep.
Yeah.
But that was a $15,000 car, and it's probably the most it's ever anybody paid for a Sarah. But I bought that with my dick because I absolutely wanted one of those things, and I didn't even care. And that thing, you know, God, I don't know when I sell that, how much that's going to go for. It'd be nice for 20.
Would be nice for
20.
It would have to be a very much an RCR flagship car.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm going to do. Well, I'm going to release that when we do the video. It will end with with the cars and bids one.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Sarah is, it was never a hero car. It was never in any movies or video games. I think it appeared maybe in one of the Gran Turismos. But it's such an oddball that it's not like a Supra or
It's got Miata vibes. Like, it looks like I'm gonna have fun when I get in there. You know what I mean?
A Miata will kick the crap out of that.
Oh, for sure. But I'm saying the vibes. Like, I'm looking at that.
It's heavier than a Miata.
I can't wait till we go on a ride.
Oh yeah.
More stylish than the Miata.
Oh,
it's total stylish. I almost want to put my contacts back in so I can wear the Pit Vipers on the way home.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something to be said for something that is maybe not as advanced as something that you get now, but gives off more of a freewheeling vibe. Something.
Yeah.
Now, I cannot imagine for the life of me what it's like to actually pick up through hikers in that thing.
In what thing?
The Sarah.
They're confused. Also, I smell them because it's a tiny compartment.
That's what I mean.
Man.
It's like everyone's so cramped in there,
and you see the windows only open that much.
Yeah, that's
so that's rough. Whereas a 4Runner will make an excellent one because that back window comes down, sunroof down, all four windows go all the way down, and it's just wind.
Yeah.
I mean,
We got some mention on rust. GRW says rust is always something to look for. I'm looking for a Toyota Tacoma. Excellent pickup truck. I've seen a couple 2000-ish ones with replaced frames. Yep, that's a thing. So if the price were right, would you pay for a car estate that didn't have? Yeah. I've been looking on like Houston, Texas, and I'm seeing the prices are the same.
Yeah.
For 4Runners. I haven't really seen any super cheap ones unless you go to like Chattanooga or something like that. You got to go deep into Appalachia to like find one. And that now you're going to save maybe $2,000. How much is going to spend? Plane ticket, hotel, something like that. But the idea of getting a rust-free like one from the Southwest and bringing it back, that's something I'm entertaining. But the second I get it back here, instantly, you got to do a rust protection or a rust coating on the bottom and undercoating.
Yeah.
And because whatever 4Runner I'm going to get has to last 10 years. So, because we've been just...
that?
I want to get my money out of it. And also because it is a car that can last another 10 years.
Yeah.
And like get rid of it at like 300,000 miles or something like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
God willing.
Let me ask another one here. What is the most overrated car, like culture even? The Wrangler? I'm with that. I own one. I hate that thing, dude. I will never get a Jeep again.
Okay. Wranglers are a great place to start a build.
Yeah.
But a stock Wrangler, I think the hype surrounding that car, and I wanted one for a long time as well, and you drive them and it is old technology. They drive like old trucks.
Which is one thing that I do like about them. It's just like the other things that are just terrible, just like the ergonomics and stuff.
It's a shoebox going through the wind. They're not that fantastic on the highway.
Oh, they're so bad, dude. It feels like I'm pushing a wall through the highway, dude.
Yeah.
My God. What do you think, Nick? You agree?
I mean, I like Wranglers in a weird.
I like them too.
Yeah, it's just. I mean,
Well, like you get it because it's like, oh, this looks cool. It looks like if you're driving this, you're gonna be the fun guy that just showed up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And there's nothing like driving it with the doors off.
Yeah.
Doors off, roof off, everything off. It's like.
It's just not worth the 16
California,
miles a gallon.
yeah. Like it's that Mad Max feel, and all it takes is a wrench. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
But you have to like live that lifestyle, like the bus
Just
lifestyle,
like the bus life,
like
dude,
the bus.
100%.
You gotta love the pain, or pain comes with jujitsu.
Yo, 100%.
It's coming.
Dude.
It's coming. It's gonna hurt, but.
Yeah,
Well,
dude. When
what
it
was that?
rains, like I get a new leak in a new window like every month, and I'm like,
yeah.
fuck, earthquakes every day, ruined window, no.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, for me at least, I've kind of been viewing. It's hard because the C8 Corvette was like my favorite car that we've reviewed in like the past 2 years.
Yeah.
But I feel like most Corvettes are kind of overrated because they are an sports car. Like they're there to do what they do, and it does it really well. Don't get me wrong. But
you talk to Matt Happel, you put a tune, they take the turbocharging, supercharging very, very well, and then you have a big power car.
yeah,
It often comes down to the people who just surround the cult of this thing. Like, I'm a Corvette family, and I'm like, it's a fine car, but your expectations of what that thing's capable of is a bit overrated.
Yeah,
I suppose it's the what's above white belt?
the blue belt.
Yeah, the blue belt confidence.
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Like right when you get it, you think you know everything. 100%, dude.
Yeah. Or that's what like the sophomoric view
Exactly.
of
Yes.
a Corvette.
Yeah.
I think a C8 Corvette is C6. The C6 Corvette is probably the best value even now to buy. They've kind of
Why?
bottomed out.
Okay.
They a C6 and a C5 are ostensibly the same car, but a C6 doesn't have the pop-up headlights.
Yeah.
That's one less thing to break. They solved most of the problems of the C5. The ergonomics are better. The engine's the same, and the parts are so cheap on the C6.
Really?
So it's a very, very affordable sports car. A few years ago, you could get into those things for like 20 grand. I don't know what they're trading at now.
Yeah.
Geez, I'm about to spend 20 grand on a slow Toyota 4Runner, and you could have a decently fast C6 Corvette. The only thing you really got to do is to take the skip shift out, because that's like an EPA thing with the manual transmission. It'll force you to go, if you're below a certain speed or below a certain RPM, if you're just tooling around in it, it'll force you to shift from first into fourth, skipping second and third.
Like if you rev too fast.
If you rev too slow.
Oh.
It wants to keep those revs down. Because the engine's so big, it doesn't care. It just
Yeah. My Cobra was like that. I'd skip gears occasionally.
Oh yeah.
Especially if because you got to get fast on the highway, but then it's like, all right, skip third, go right to fourth. We're chilling now.
yeah.
But the Corvette will lock you out of second and third. It'll want you to go all the way to fourth. A little gate will close and force that gear shift to go whoop, all the way down into fourth. Yeah, to save gas.
Yeah,
that was the thing. Instead of going through those other two gears, which I think that's kind of ridiculous.
I like that comment from Gadget73 because it reads like poetry to me. So the one underneath the New Jersey here, but I'll start with that for continuity's sake. New Jersey here, but still lots of salt on the road. I was seriously considering importing from Arizona or California or something.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to buy something I really wanted because it would make me mad when it went away.
Huh.
I love that. Like
you didn't want to buy something I really wanted because it would make me sad when it went away.
there's something profound to the notion that you deny yourself something that you really want because you know it's going to be ephemeral experience. Like that it's not going to last.
That's what Turo is for.
And,
yeah, but
hey Monica.
Have you
Hey,
ever
Monica.
heard the
I haven't
adage
seen
that
you in
it's
a
better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, like get your kicks in while you can.
Man, life's short.
And enjoy it.
Life's too short to drive shitty cars or whatever.
But I
know.
understand
But just have Turo, like rent a car for a week and treat yourself that way.
Yeah.
You can find Ferraris and all sorts of exotics on Turo and just have it for a few days and just get a little taste. Oh, but he says he's gonna love it anyway and be sad when it went away. Yeah. Trust me, I've had 2 of my dream cars and one of them's right behind us, and I was sad. Well, 3 of them: the Falcon, the MR2, and now the Sarah. And just plan an escape, or like. I always wanted to have a relationship with someone where we plan to break up after a year, and just let's in a very like Dave Matthews, what was that one song, Say Goodbye or something, like it's pretty much like kind of a simp anthem.
Yeah,
he's like, just for tonight, let's be lovers and then go back to being friends.
Yeah.
I'd love to have that, like be able to take the idea of having a car for a little while, knowing I bought that Sarah, knowing I'm going to break up with it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be sad when it leaves, but like preparing yourself for that. I'd like to do that with like a relationship.
Can't you do that in Tinder though? Like,
well, no, because now there's like, well, not now because I haven't been on in a while, in a very long time, but like even before this relationship, I had deleted my Tinder a while ago. But the whole notion being that now it's an influx. What had been a hookup app is now sort of loaded with people who say, if you're just looking for a hookup, swipe left.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's the whole point of
this
like,
app.
That was the only reason I was on there. And then after a certain point, I realized that isn't really what I wanted either.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know. It's weird.
But well, let me segue into a topic I want to make sure we touch before the day is over. Because I really want to know. Like, both of you have your master's degrees. And like, I guess that's how you met in college, right?
Yeah.
So like, do you feel as though your degrees set you up for success in the RCR YouTube channel? Do you feel like it's kind of wasn't necessary for this? Because I will say, like, I love, like, first of all, Brian, you can't teach your sense of humor. And like, that's the reason I subscribed. Like, initially when Nick showed me, like, he had a good channel. Like, I remember you were at an open mic. It's like, yeah, I like work with this like YouTube channel. And I looked at the subs and I was like, what the fuck? This is your channel? But yeah, it blew me away. And then like, I just started like, I remember the Which Mopar is Best Mopar car show. Dude, I was like peeing myself the first time I saw that. So it set me up for success.
I was upset there was no Bluesmobile there.
Yeah, dude, I remember.
Freaking Dodge
said,
Monaco.
This is trifling. Yeah.
I love the Bluesmobile. There was, Happel had one on his dyno, and they were doing like some sort of cannonball or something like that. And it had an LS in it. It wasn't turbocharged, but it was just, I think it was just like, what is a, 4.8? Yeah, 4.6 modular was Ford, and the small LS was the 4.8. It was just something like that, and I'm like, I fucking want that car. I want the Bluesmobile, even though no one really gets it anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah,
I got sidetracked.
I was just saying, like, do you feel like, and I'm saying, like, I'm paying like respect to like both of your, like, obviously, like you, like,
the master's degree question.
Yeah, but just like your ability to you know, use good speech and things like this is great for like a lot of the things. Like, you can really speak to things from a very like, I respect when you're talking, but I can also laugh at what your jokes are. You know what I mean?
I think graduate classes was good exercise in not being afraid of a research paper due in 5 days. Yeah. In the same way that sparring or rolling, And like me, I think we were having this conversation before, like me when I took Dutch kickboxing, is not to be that afraid of getting popped.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Like, I was a little bit afraid when you rolled me in there. I've never been, like, tossed on my back before. Yeah. And I'm like, is this going to break my back? No, it's not going to.
It's like, yeah, dude, like,
you're going to get a thump.
This is what you need to do to make sure you're absorbing it correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost like a very pro wrestling approach of, like, make it look like it hurts, but you're really taking care of it.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
And it's kind of, for at least... I mean, with grad courses, and I've said this on our podcast, but that the most valuable thing I got out of grad school was like my friendship with Brian, and it's because
that's awesome.
It's because, well, I mean, A, it's RCR, but like B, the thing with grad school is that you can just as easily become well read on your own to our extent.
Yeah.
Without having to
you don't have to spend that you don't
you can just read, like, I will print you out a syllabus of things to read that I think will really help you become like a better writer and think more critically, that are not like, you know, Kirklider and Comfort type like literary theory books, just literally novels that I think would be interesting to read, and not like Ethan Frome for the 7th time, or freaking
County of Pointed Firs,
or even like reading the Iliad again. I've read the Iliad like so many times that it just kind of is lost. And Paradise Lost, that's another one.
I had to read that in undergrad and I didn't get it.
The Iliad or Paradise Lost?
Paradise Lost, and it was like eating grape nuts with no milk, just like dry grape nuts. It was so, I didn't know. Okay, here's something I didn't know about English classes. Cheat every single time. Read the Spark Notes, spoil the ending for yourself, understand, and to tie it back to Jiu-Jitsu, you don't just start throwing someone around. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what the middle plot. Here's how it ends.
100%.
Let's do it again. Here's the middle. Here's the thing. Here's the end. And then we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how this works.
Yeah.
So you can not have to think. Know the ending, know the beginning, know the middle, and then we're going to get into the little bits. So when you have a paper, and this works throughout all school, spoil the ending to yourself. Know what's going to happen, because these old novels were the MMORPGs or serial television of their day.
Yeah.
There are 80 characters in these books.
Yep.
So when you're showing this to a kid, like, who is this person? What is this person? The point of those old novels and why they were great is because they were the entertainment of their day. There was no electricity or anything. So the fun of having one of those dry, thick books, these 800-page monstrosities, was that you would read this book again and again for the year, in the same way that you will, from my perspective, will play Skyrim 4 times. I'm getting my brother even got me that for my birthday. He got his money's worth. I've been joyously entertained with this horrendously thick video game that can be enjoyed many different ways. The point of those old books and why they were so hard to read is you had nothing going on with your, shout out to the YouTube channel Technology Connections, with your kerosene lamp out on the prairie. You got 4 books and you got to make it through 4 seasons. So have a book that you can read over and over and over again and discover new things.
Yeah.
Like how you can, like doing one move can be like 2 classes. Just going over this thing in the many different ways of whatever it is you stop. Hey, like, here's the basics of a throw. I could take 40 minutes just talking about one move. So when you approach literature to understand literary theory, you're well beyond what happened in the book.
Yeah.
So there is no spoiling that, and when you get to graduate school, it's almost expected that you've read all these books that are assigned beforehand.
Wow, yeah.
So, and then we're going to discuss how Chaucer did this, why he was doing this, what Chaucer was reading at the time when he figured this out, what was going on in his life, and then how does this sentence work to set up the next sentence, and why he chose the words in the order that he did. And that's where the fun gets in. Since I know nothing about jiu-jitsu, but I like the idea that it's just You move your hand this way could mean one thing. You move your hand this way, another thing. And then going back and this is from like the Jocko podcast, you know, it's great that you roll, but it's even better if you film it and then go back and watch what happened.
Because your body moves in weird ways, man. Like I make sure to film every one of my competition fights for sure. And I should do more reflection via video on matches in the room with my teammates.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my good friends that are high-level competitors do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to be.
And now you got a whole video editing suite here. Yeah. You can take that video and go frame by frame. Here's what happened. Here's what happened. Here's what happened. Here's what happened.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's almost like a physical language. Like you're doing physical. Your body is conjugating. Like, the different. It's just. I mean, and what's weird about like the evolution of the novel as this serialized form of entertainment is that the closest analog to that, oddly enough, is like fan fiction.
Yeah.
Because those are serialized pieces that are, once they're done, they represent one single continuous work. And then after that, you go back and like read each piece. Now, granted, it's not the only form of entertainment you have by any stretch of the imagination, but I find it interesting that novels and books and sort of literature such as it exists sort of went back to that type of thing, and then you have fan fiction being published as actual novels like 50 Shades and all that, and being like huge successes off of that. But still, it's just strange.
Very good literature question right there from your sponsor. I can't read. Speaking of books being entertainment of their time, do you guys feel that books are declining, flourishing, or staying neutral? No, they're not. Definitely not neutral. Books are adapting to visual media, but have been doing that for the past 50 years.
Like audiobooks are like a great example there for me.
Like most of the reading I notice people doing that talk about, like, oh, I just finished this book. It's been an audiobook, like, and you know, they just have an audio,
like, especially like for me, like I drive so much, podcasts and audiobooks are huge, man.
But I mean,
there's a lot more stress on dialogue now, and when I say now, I mean in the past 20 years, because we often expand our time frames when talking about literature. The errors are so great. The neat thing about to visualize how how novels and written works have changed is that when we go back to those old books, we're talking 1600s and earlier, like 1300 to 1600. And to use a contemporary example, we have that new movie out, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Oh, dude, I just saw that movie.
How is it?
Dude. All right, so I showed up late. But, dude, it is a weird fucking movie.
It's a weird story,
dude,
too.
It is very drugs. Did I like it? Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those people back then, they were doing all sorts of hallucinogens.
Dude, yeah, dude. It was some Donnie Darko-ass shit, dude, for sure.
The book itself, the actual, and that is an old tale.
Yeah.
It's a great one because it's fun. And the literal thing, like, okay, the beginning of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Yeah, spoil that because I missed it. I showed up to the theater like 20 minutes late.
It's okay. Yeah. Did he cut off the guy's head?
Not yet.
Okay,
not yet.
That's like the big moment in the book too.
Yeah.
Like this guy's so powerful. He exists beyond his body.
Yeah.
These whole chivalric tales are hard to pin down because they were told word of mouth before they were written down.
Ooh, yes.
So, and they also existed before standardized spelling, which is another fun way to examine them. Because, and of course, they were written in the older version of English, the Anglo-Saxon stories, where before the great vowel shift, that's another great thing about linguistics, because we form our vowels in the front of our mouth. They're all up here. So if you bite down on your tongue, you can't really form vowels that well. But in Old Anglo-Saxon, they talked with the back of their throat. In the lich and nach and all of that, those phonemes are formed by the back of your tongue. So a lot of their nich vowels were, when they said their vowels, they were in the back of their throat, so it sounded totally different. I'm getting away from my point.
Yeah.
But this is very exciting for me. Thank you for asking this question.
Yeah, for sure.
The visual telling in print has changed. Now, people are trained to accept a visual description with very little words because we have watched a lot of television, we've played a lot of video games, we watch plenty of videos. We know what a opulent dinner looks like of high society. We don't need 8 pages describing a fucking meal.
Yeah.
Unless you're George R.R. Martin.
That is true. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight starts with a tableau of just describing how great this fucking feast is that all the knights are having.
Yeah.
They're living it up.
Yeah.
And that was the fun entertainment of talking about every stupid thing in the room before anything happens, because you got nothing else to do after you've done being a serf.
Yeah.
Than to read this stuff. And I go, oh, wow, look at all this.
It's like, oh, man, I can't watch the Food Network because I get so hungry. It's like the same thing here.
Yeah.
You have no frame of reference for how the other half lives unless
right.
you're like actively working.
And also, there's no cameras back then. There's no way to know what something looks like other than to describe every bloody piece of it.
Or some shit.
Yeah. So, and then when the Green Knight comes in, they spend more pages just talking about how badass his armor is and how well stitched all this like green stuff was and how kick-ass his axe is and his helmet. And that goes on for fucking a year.
Yeah.
And then they get to brawling.
Yeah.
And then the Green Knight goes off on his tail, which is a complete drug trip, but it's entertaining for you to have this grand tale that then written down that you can read and read and read and read and read for weeks.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about it, because if you distill it down to its basic plot point, it's magical knight encourages dude to take his best shot.
Yeah.
But beware that no matter how hard you hit me, I get to come back a year later and hit you with my best shot.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, or is it I get to hit you with the exact same force? I forget.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But that's it. But within
that's such a good
margins,
thing, though. Even when I was reading it, I'm like, you get to hit me with your best shot. Okay, I'll chop your head off. Like, nice. I'll be back to do the same to you. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
you got a year to prep, Goku.
Yeah.
Here come the
like,
Saiyans.
Yeah, ain't no Senzu bean curing of decapitation. It's like the whole premise of it is just that he thinks he's outsmarting him by like, oh, hit you with my best shot. Oh, wait, I'm gonna make it so that you can't come back.
Yeah.
And then he does, because he's not of this
earth,
mortal plane. It's just very nice to kind of. And it's part of, like, I believe it's part of Mallory's Le Morte d'Arthur, like that collection of Arthurian tales that deal with sort of that era of, I guess, like, legend, you know, the legend of Camelot. The sort of Arthurian aspect is very much something that I've always enjoyed. I mean, hell, like, my favorite movie is Excalibur, and in that one, awesome. The charm of making is a reflection of the ways in which they form the phonemes in the back of the throat. It's just an
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's just, and you know, it's something where it's as much a hodgepodge of the different stories, but they all connect in a certain way that allows someone who maybe isn't that familiar with the tropes of that world to be able to understand it and consume that text, consume the media.
Yeah.
And so feel like, but The Green Knight is like sort of a way, the new film, is kind of like this reinterpretation of things. I want to say like somebody like the protagonist like also has sex with somebody's wife. But I'm not sure like that there's like some sort of sexual component to it.
Oh, dude, it's a
those stories are all about nasty banging.
Yeah, nasty bangs.
Yeah. And so there's more of like a soap operatic content. Yeah, I mean, like there's freaking, you know, what even is it? It's like incest in Le Morte d'Arthur with like Arthur and his half sister, which is just really bizarre. So they create this like horrible, like evil kid who grows up to be like the original Joffrey Baratheon for Game of Thrones people. But it's like something very strange that that makes sense in its own era, but somehow seems to be coming back around with the bigger focus on fantasy. And I noticed that there was a question in there about thoughts on the Wheel of Time TV show coming out this fall. And the thing is that, like, I could not finish the Wheel of Time because it just, after a certain point, got bogged down in the minutiae of details, where somehow they did find it necessary to explain every single aspect of travel, every single aspect of a meal. And it's almost like economy of language. Like, there is, certain appeal to having those super long descriptions like Sir Gawain and the Green Knight had. And even like the ones George R.R. Martin does. But I feel like if you're not actually moving the story forward, then it's very easy to get lost in the weeds and feel like you're wasting your time.
No.
And that's kind of how I felt like with the Wheel of Time. I read like the first 3 books, and then when I got to the 4th, I was like already struggling on the ones that people were saying were still supposed to be the good ones before it hits the downturn. And I'm like, if you're at a point where people online are saying, yeah, you can skip books like 7 through 9 out of like a 15 book series, or like 7 through 11, it's just like, yeah, I think I'm out, because we only have a finite amount of time on this earth. So,
100%.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: do you feel like there was anything missing in retrospect in your like master's programs? Oh, whatever it is not important.
I feel like,
sorry about that. Usually
there would be, I wish there had been at least something of an emphasis on the structure of a good story, because at least in some of my classes I missed out on that because we were looking for symbolism and everything. And, like, the program was not meant to turn you into a creative writer. I understand that, especially with Kutztown, where it's known for churning out teachers and educators of many varieties.
Those classes seemed very good at teaching you how to teach this book.
Perpetuating academia. And the thing is that there were things that I would have liked to have learned that I went on to sort of learn on my own.
Forsyth was pretty good at doing that. But I only had her, I think I only had Forsyth for my, she helped me with defending my thingamabob, the last thing that you did. I remember walking I wore a tie, I wore nice clothes for my thesis defense. And while they had their little meeting, I remember walking the halls of Lytle, just walking in a circle, looking at the undergrads like they don't know the stress I'm under. If I don't pass this defense, I don't know what I'm going to do. Is it just over? Do I got to go another year of school? That was a pretty nervous time. Right there. Looking back though, I guess all the classes were pretty helpful, even Schwartz's, for as goofy as they were. But my mind was just kind of all over the place. I think about this a lot. Like, if I had known I could actually do RCR, I would have done it 10 years ago.
I
mean, like, me being creative was kind of like frowned upon by my parents, because they wanted a traditional get a job that's good and respectable. So, like, it seemed to them that they wanted me to have a job that they could explain to their friends how good I'm doing. And even when RCR started to become successful, they still didn't like it. They thought it was a waste of time. It wasn't until that my Army Ranger cousin told my dad that he liked my videos that my dad turned the corner. So it took the opinion of someone established in his estimation for him to be okay with what I was doing.
Wow, yeah. That's wild, man.
The reaction from my family has been completely different. Not in the sense that they're like super proud, like I'm sure they are, but it's that my friends and family, for the most part, could not possibly care less about what it is I'm doing. Other than that, like, oh, are you making like a decent living, or are you able to provide for yourself? Okay, good, cool. Whatever you're doing, whatever. Like, you're not breaking the law, cool. And it's like, if you could ask literally like anyone in my family, anyone that I'm friends with, And I think maybe fewer than 2% would actually be able to give you any sort of detail about what it is I do, other than saying, like, car videos, I guess.
Yeah.
Or they think that the side hustle that I have, or not a side hustle, but like my channel with my nephew is like what I actually do for a living. I'm like, no, that's just a little fun little thing that like we do just for funsies, you know, that nobody really sees. It's just, they don't, it's just whatever to them, you know? And I think part of it is that I don't have many car people in my life to want to care in the first place.
Right.
But also that I think, I don't know, it's just, I've always wanted to make a living writing creatively, but it never occurred to me to actually, that it could actually happen. And so when I went in to defend my like thesis or portfolio, I forget, normally I'm Mr. Anxiety, but I was like cooler than the other side of like a penguin's ass cheek. It was just like, I was so not invested in whether or not I was actually going to get my master's. I remember like my girlfriend asked like if I still had my diploma so that we could hang them. And I'm like, my mom has those. And she's like, well, do you want to like get them or something? I'm like, no. She's like, oh, why not? I'm like, because they don't really matter to me. Like, they're pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Like, those were more for her than for me, because it's like you're drilled in your mind that you go to college after a certain age. Now, she never like made me feel like I had to go to college. It's just that this was before like the economy was destroyed. And so I had this sense that I would go to college and there would be a job waiting for me on the other side of it. And then there wasn't. And I'm like, well, I'll write it out in grad school, and then there will be a job waiting for me on the other side of it. And it's like, there wasn't. And there is just a sense where, you know, I feel like this generation has been locked in a perpetual state of trying to ride out bad things that like boomers did. Not to put it all on boomers, but I mean, it's like, there are things where, you know, the same principles of the past no longer apply, where, you know, everyone's a homeowner by like 25 and they have like 3 kids and a dog. And, you know, I just can't fathom that. You know, I was watching this Unsolved Mysteries about this woman who had just bought like this brand new Mustang in like the 70s on the salary of an attendant at a gas station.
Wow.
And I'm just like, and that same car, if it was in any sort of decent condition today, would be worth like orders of magnitude greater than I could afford. And yet, even then, if I were the owner of that car and I sold it, I still wouldn't be able to get a house with it. Whereas, like, back then, you could sell, I don't know, family. You do a yard sale and you have a decent chunk of change enough to get a house with. Well, not right away, but I mean, over time, the accumulation.
So when did you start the channel, and then when did you rope in Nick? And like, how did you know like Nick's the guy I need? Like, you must have had classes and interactions where you're like, this guy's very competent, you know? I'm curious, like, what established that?
The channel started in like 2014 as like an outlet for my frustration. And then Nick came on in 2015 or 2016.
I think like the channel, as far as I know, because it has been like,
because there was the first time we worked together in the first Avenger review.
Yeah.
And then you started reading the one-liners there at Chef Allen's on Penn Avenue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is good.
Yeah.
And then I think it was right then I said, okay, you want to do this with me? We'll just split the money if it ever makes money.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay.
And I remember in the early days, I was like really reticent to having it be referred to as like our thing or something that we did or us. And you're like, no, don't worry about that. Just because like I felt like again, it's like an imposter syndrome thing of like, I don't want people to think that I think this is like all me or something or whatever. But I don't know. I remember when you got back from teaching your 5 months
in Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we went to
that
Cafe
story.
Harmony. It was still Cafe Harmony back then. And we just sat at the window and were riffing on cars. And also at the same time, we were doing the KU Car Show, which was a radio program in Kutztown that we were doing. And that was kind of like a proto sort of RCR.
Yeah.
We were like just riffing on things in the Auto Trader.
Yeah.
And it felt like such a natural fit that I'm like, why wouldn't I take him up on the offer? It's like, what else are you doing right now, Nick? And so I felt like incredibly like privileged to have been offered that position, because I honestly don't know what I'd be doing otherwise. And
yeah, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd probably have a teaching job somewhere and trying my best not to get in trouble, not to say the wrong combination of words.
Yeah. And that's always going to be.
I'd probably be an okay teacher, and I'd probably be frustrated with the numbers game.
Yeah.
The kids got to get good grades. Doesn't mean matter if they're learning anything. They got to be doing good on paper so we get our money, and that's teaching.
Yeah, it's not.
If they learn any life skills, well, then that's icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But the main thing is they get the right answers, and then that's it.
Yeah. Hey, the district's trying to get those numbers up.
Yeah.
Trying to get funded now.
So were you kind of like thriving at that point where I know like YouTube did a big like advertisement policy change that really smacked down a lot of creators? Like
it didn't affect us.
It didn't affect you at that time?
It just meant YouTube right now wants to be ABC or NBC.
Yeah.
So you can say or do anything you want pretty much, but you're not going to make any money because the advertisers want consistency. Yes, there is Blue Chew. Yes, there is Kratom.
Yeah.
Yes, there is lots of CBD products who have fun. Yes, there is. Shout out to Pit Vipers who gave me those obnoxious and awesome sunglasses that we wore in the skit. They exist, but those guys, they're not, to quote Mad Men, they're not Dow. They're not Morgan Stanley.
No.
They're not even Liberty Mutual. They're not BASF. They're not where the big boy money is.
Yeah.
The big boy money wants consistency, and they want to reach the most amount of people. And like it or not, the family dollar is richer than the single entrepreneur dollar. Even if the single entrepreneur makes more, the people with families want to be sold a product to convince them that everything's okay and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So, and they're not watching car videos where I talk about my dick being circumcised at an angle, you know? But I'm fine working within constrictions.
Yeah.
And that's what writing has always been. You know, go back to Chaucer. He was working within restrictions so he could tell the Catholic Church to go fuck themselves. Yeah. But he had to do it in very, very roundabout ways.
Yeah.
So lately, yes, we've been censoring ourselves, even fucking shit and stuff like that. But that's what the podcast is for. Just
we say all
are
that
you
stuff
really
there.
that much of a slave that you can't say the 7 words you can't say on television? No. There are many different ways to get around that to make your point.
Yeah. When we started out, one of our hard rules was no swearing because we thought it was going to be a shortcut. And we did that for years. And then we kind of like started realizing, well, like one really well-placed like fuck is worth like, it's kind of like a PG-13 movie where you get that one fuck. You got to make sure you get it perfect in the right spot. And
you can still make money by as long as the fucks and shits don't show within like the first minute or two. Yeah. If you put it toward the end, because you know, audience retention starts off strong and will naturally drop off as it goes off. Because no one starts who starts a video in the middle unless you're one of these guys who like rides or die by the Wadsworth constant. Which is the Wadsworth constant, this internet rule for people who don't know, is that all the useful video, any YouTube, the first 30% of every YouTube video is nonsense. Is you completely skip it, which is almost true.
For sure.
So we So we never put fluff in the beginning because we want you there in the beginning. But anyway, still, people start watching at the beginning of the video and slowly drop off. So the advertisers, even if you have multiple ads in the video, the ones in the beginning cost more to buy that space than the ones at the end. Yeah. So the end ads are usually from smaller companies than the ones you see in the beginning. So if you've got to get a fuck or a shit or ad, put it at the end of the video. Yeah. You'll make more money and you'll retain I guess, your punk rock principles to have a fuck and a shit in your video.
Yeah.
If you're still trying to be Henry Rollins about it. You know,
Henry Rollins. What's that, Black Flag, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's who they should get as the new Jeopardy host.
Hell yeah.
For real. Damn. Well, dude, like, let me ask you this. Like, what advice do you have for me with mine? Like,
consistency.
Bard of all trades. But it's like,
pick a day out of the week or a day out of the month. Mm-hmm. It can be a month. There are some channels that only put out once a month. But pick a day and you have something.
That, every 15th of the month, a video comes out.
Sure. Or the first.
Yeah.
I do the first. Like, if it's going to be once a month, have it be the first.
Be the first, yeah.
It's easier to worm your way into people's brains. Be like Noriega. You got to keep coming. What's the song? I'm like Noriega. I keep them coming back. That's Every Day I'm Hustling.
Oh,
yeah.
We keep them coming back.
Yeah.
Keep them coming back. And be part of people's lives. But that's the benefit of picking a month and having something come out on that month.
Mm-hmm.
A sort of medium to high level video where you actually have a point.
Yeah.
And it's not just, hey, I'm going to sit and riff and talk to you.
Yeah.
I guess. But actually have something that was edited, that put together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
even
for me,
if
like, my content
even if
is
it's
like
only
50-50, you know?
Okay.
It's like talk show,
Mm-hmm.
but then I do like an after show. In this specific instance, I'm just going to link the video you guys are going to be making
Mm-hmm.
about, like, you know, my studio. And that's going to be the after show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But generally speaking, like, I'll have a jiu-jitsu guy on,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll have them demonstrate a move that they used in competition.
That demonstration of that move, in my advice, should be your hero video. That well edited, here's how to do a blank, blah, 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 blah. And that's your first of the month.
Those consistently are my better performing videos.
Good.
People who like me watch the videos that I'm having an interview, or your fans, right?
Yeah.
Like
now,
most of the engagement here is your people, right? But there's a few of mine, you know?
Yeah. Have that video where you display the move, and at the end of it said, and if you'd like to learn more, here is the extended version of it. And that's where you're planning the video like a month in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like pithy titles or pithy descriptions that are kind of like, you know, in this video we learn how to do blah,
yeah
blah, blah,
I'll tell you,
blah, blah, blah.
my best performing video this year, I got like a few hundred views in the first week. It was and you know, that's not much compared to you guys.
Right.
But
yeah.
It's a cop that's a jiu-jitsu brown belt, like very very good dude too. And his podcast was great as well. But anyway, the title of the video was like a clickbait, right? It was like, Officer Tomas shows us how he handles an unruly arrest with jiu-jitsu, right? And it's a video of me going like, on the ground, like in the thumbnail, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that one caught like a lot of views. And his podcast, he was giving cop stories like the whole time. So it's very fun to listen to. Like I've even like listened back because there's some stories he gave that are fucking hilarious.
I also feel like the algorithm favors faces.
Yeah.
Like personalities.
Really?
Or not faces, but like personalities. Like as in like he's the face of his brand.
Oh, right.
Like literally like people know the name, they know the personality.
Yeah.
They have someone, I don't know if that
Does Doug have his face in every video now?
in the thumbnail?
Yeah.
Oh, don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm leaning towards yes. Or
that makes
not,
sense.
like,
I see everybody with a gigantic
background,
new
like,
male smile face, like large in the videos now.
Yeah, I don't feel like that would be something that we would have to do because, like, in a way, okay, we're in a weird spot where like we're not the draw,
Right.
or I mean, what
we are,
our
but it's not.
writing is, but like us as humans,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
the clickbait is the car, right? You guys are just the entertainment.
or are the clickbait is the car in the sense that they're curious about what we're going to say about it.
Yeah.
But if you think about it in terms of like, if we were to just talk, well, I mean, we would put out journals and everything and diaries, and they would get some views. But by and large, it's like, and I don't want to make it sound that people don't care about us as people. I just mean in terms of like vis-a-vis car reviews, people care more about the videos and this content that we sit down to write that is curated specifically towards people who are looking for car reviews.
It's a smart approach though, like the way that you guys are going about it versus like I'm trying to think of another car guy like Scotty Kilmer, like that guy, like what's up guys? Like, it's me, the old white mechanic guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's part of like his appeal.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I trust this guy, you know what I mean? Like he's trying to help us out.
And it's interesting because I think after a certain point, your audience knows you, and once you're a part of their routine, then it's easier to kind of like retain that audience and potentially even grow that audience if those viewers want to include people in the routine. And then you have this thing, I mean, make something that you would want to watch. And so if it's something that you would want to watch, like the police officer showing how to subdue, you know, the certain, like you have less of a hang up. It feels less like you're doing performative, like this is what a YouTuber is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
Because a YouTuber isn't supposed to be like anything. There are channels that succeed doing all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Matt's Off-Road Recovery. I love that.
Yeah.
I was watching the new one just before this. All it is these tow truck drivers, and they specialize in pulling people who got stuck in sand and mud and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just that.
Yeah.
And they're exploding.
Yeah.
And it's perplexing. I think it's very wholesome content.
Yeah,
it's
for
very
sure.
manly and fun, and they have amazing cars. Like their main tow vehicle is an XJ Jeep. You know,
nice.
Classic Jeep Cherokee, but huge balloon tires.
Yeah.
Like disgustingly huge, and it's running like Dana axles and stuff like that. And it's funny because people have these we were talking about that. I think I probably mentioned Matt's Off-Road Recovery a bunch of times before. But it's funny seeing people getting stuck with Raptors.
Wow, yeah.
You know, other Jeeps and stuff, 4Runners. And here comes this bullshit XJ Jeep Cherokee, like, that's just dancing and stuff. But, and I think it has something crazy like 411 gears or even higher rear gearing than that. And then just pulls it right out. And half the time they have the elastic tow thing.
Yeah.
So they get a running start. It goes
boing.
Brings this thing out. And now they built like the Morvair. They took like an old Corvair and like turned that. That was like the main guy's like dream car when he was a kid was a Chevy Corvair station wagon from like 1962.
Yeah.
And they turned that with huge modifications and turned that half to do a fun thing, but also it can pull stuff out.
That's so funny.
And that's an example where they're not really characters, but you come to watch like someone got stuck in the sand or a Prius stuck in the sand.
Yeah.
But then the back end benefit is that you learn about these characters' lives. So it's sort of like Orange County Choppers, but no one's swearing. They're actually all wholesome people who care about helping people.
Yeah.
And
there is something to be said about being a likable person that people want to see succeed. An example that I think of in terms of like YouTube channels that are not typical YouTuber channels.
Yeah, not edgy.
That thrive on personality. Ushanka Show.
Yeah.
Ushanka Show is literally a guy, a camera, like almost no editing or possibly no editing.
He has a guy to source those royalty-free images.
Yeah.
So he has an editor. He's mentioned.
But he's just a guy sharing stories about his life growing up in
Soviet Union, or rather
during the fall.
Yugoslavia. What was he? The Ukraine. Excuse me. Sorry, Sergey, if you're out there. But yeah, it's just a guy telling stories about what it was growing up in the Ukraine during the Soviet era.
Yeah.
And then he came to the U.S. like in the 90s on like this work study program. He worked at like a summer camp and then like met someone and then moved here.
Yeah.
Nice.
But like he's been living here like the majority of his life. He's here.
Yeah.
But he still has, and I'm saying this in an endearing way, he has what the Yakov Smirnoff style.
Yeah.
Ukrainian accent, even though he speaks English better than most other people. It's just like
you can't
us saying
it.
maybe water or something like that, like a mid-Atlantic accent that I don't know I have until I go somewhere else. And like, oh, you say things weird.
Yeah. Oh, dude, like people, it's so funny.
Picture
because you
pitcher of water. Hang a picture on the wall. Give me the pitcher of water. Same word.
One of my friends that I just did a film job, a big jiu-jitsu tournament in Iowa, and it's funny because like we had to do some, we had to go get some equipment from Home Depot because I only flew out with my camera equipment. We needed a few other things, right? Yeah. So it was so funny because we went to like Best Buy and they didn't have what we needed. So like we wanted some LED lighting, you know what I mean, for the walkout for the fighters. Yeah. And we walked into the Home Depot. The other guy's from Georgia, currently living in California in San Diego, I believe. Don't kill me, Chris. But yeah, he's got like the Southern like hospitality thing. He's holding doors for people. I'm like, oh, we gotta go, like, cause I'm like Northeast kind of thing. And dude, right when we walk in the Home Depot, I knife hand the guy. I'm like, lights, LED lights, and then he goes, I'll like whatever, and then we go. He's like, man, that Philly regression is prominent, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like it's prominent in your personality. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even realize. Because like here, it's like you just do that, and it's like, yeah, it's right over here. Yeah.
Yeah, when I look at that, I'm not wasting the guy's time.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel.
I don't need to have some pleasantries. I need lights. You're going to tell me where lights are. Lights.
You're getting my money. That's your pleasantry. You know what I mean? Oh, so man. True. It's so funny. And, you know, I'm like the nicest guy. Like, I'm very patient, but like when I'm on a job, like maybe it's like the military thing almost, but definitely like growing up in the Northeast in PA, I'm very like task driven. Yeah. Like we got to get this done, you know?
Yeah.
Which is cool, which is a cool thing about living in the bus, because here you can't rush.
No.
Like, it's like, damn, like, all right, we're meeting over here. All right, man, I'll be there when I get there. Yeah. Like if traffic's not going to treat this well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't have air conditioning, so I'm not trying to rush. Like everything's chilling. Like I'll get there when it's like Gandalf says, like a wizard is never late. A wizard shows up precisely when he intends to. And, you know, the Bard's the same way.
Man, you would have liked that Nissan POW that I had.
Yeah.
It was everything this was, but tiny. And it'll get there.
Yeah.
It'll get there just fine.
It's spacious. Yeah.
It was surprisingly spacious for a small car. It was the seats, you had more room in that than you had in the Sarah.
Yeah, for sure.
But that thing was just like this little box, so you had maximum amount of things.
Yeah, headroom.
My friend, shout out to my friend Corey Walton.
I saw. On
Instagram.
She
wants to buy a POW.
Yeah, she wants one.
But then she was looking at like Duncan Imports or something like that. Yeah. For $19,000, I bought that POW for $7,000.
Damn.
And mine wasn't the best, but it never broke. Well, it had that high idle problem and like that weird computer controlled carburetor, which nope. Yeah. The POW is fantastic, but like living with a tiny K style or small displacement engine is a challenge that it can't really overcome. Because, you know, Philly, Northeast, we expect when you merge onto that highway, it's go time, which is something this thing can't do. But this thing has size on its side.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm merging. Here
move.
I come.
Yeah. You saw me like, you know, a mile ago, bro. Yeah. You had time.
But other people, you know, drives me nuts when people are hesitant about merging.
Oh,
like,
dude.
I'm not waving you in. I gave you 5 spaces.
Yeah.
I appreciate the hustle of people who just get up, get in.
Yeah.
Get up, get in. I don't care if you're cutting me off. I hate the guy who's like, can't decide.
Yeah.
If he's in front of me and not coming over.
Yeah, for sure. But
we tend to respect the flash.
Yeah.
Flash, get in.
Yeah.
And then that's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because when I'm going on that on-ramp, I'm I'm usually going in front of somebody.
Yeah.
And anyway.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, just kind of like sticking with like, you were mentioning earlier about like, you know, you guys had like your kind of like code of ethics or something, but I know you kind of approached doing videos with like, I remember like, I think I submitted a video back when you guys were doing email submissions or something. I told Nick like, oh, you could do like this car that I was leasing like a Hyundai Elantra or some shit. And I was like, you do one of those yet or not? But I remember like, in the like your fine print, you were like, you know, no burnouts, this, that, and the other thing. Do you have any crazy stories of like videos you've done like behind the scenes that never made it to like, you know, YouTube?
There was a few times where people bought friends that I didn't, that they thought hanging out and doing RCR was like a party, and it isn't. Because I'm at work.
Yeah.
Because I'm not funny when I'm filming, where we have a job to do.
Yeah.
Usually now I tell people like no burnouts and stuff like that. I think there might have been a few times in the beginning where somebody did a burnout.
Maybe.
Why is that? Why do you try to avoid that? Because you don't want attention drawn to yourself while you're filming? Yeah, that makes sense.
The whole approach is getting in and out as quickly as possible without looky-loos, without people wondering what we're up to.
Yeah.
Because it's something where, you know, people are prone to get hostile about things they don't understand.
For sure, dude.
You know, it's like they don't understand this. And I think, like, at a certain point, some of the cars are... some of the cars are conspicuous enough on their own, like
yeah,
this.
Yeah, for sure,
it's
dude.
like, you know, what
I've had cops wake me up parked on the side of the road wherever I am in this like multiple times. Just like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I'm nothing. What am I doing wrong? Who called you? Like, what do you think I'm doing? Like, I've even brought cops onto the bus. I'm like, dude, I run a talk show in here. Like, there's no drugs. Like, it looks like there's drugs. There's no drugs.
Yeah. You're welcome to bring all the drugs sniffing dogs.
Yeah, it's like, I give them a sticker. I'm like, subscribe. While you're giving me shit, like, subscribe to my, I need 1,000 to make money. Like, help me out here.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't have any, like, crazy stories of, like, weird stuff that's gone down?
Well, there were some people who lie that they have a car that they don't.
Oh, yeah.
Or they're... Like the one kid who was going to sneak out his brother's RX-7, you know, and saying, usually some people use, I think we've said this before, but people tend to use language. People who aren't good at lying are easy to spot.
Yeah.
I have access to a car, which means it's not yours.
Yeah.
But now with the submission form, it's a lot easier. It's a little bit more work to submit a car, but if people are willing to fill that out, it's probably their vehicle.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: like, when did you start getting like a flood of like people submitting videos? Like around what subscriber count were you like, oh shit, like maybe we should start like a streamlined way of doing this?
About 100,000, and then 500,000 subscribers more. I was still doing it all through my email.
Yeah.
Until recently, that we set up OmniSend, which had the form that exists outside of my email. Now I'll still be like, if you get a car on RCR, we will then be talking through my email.
Yeah.
But the submission form allows me to keep all of that out of my life.
Yeah.
Because I was spending more and more time just organizing my own email, and then realizing that I have almost 10,000 emails that I haven't read, which reminds me, I have to go back and delete all of those old submissions. And having to... Now, it's only $2 a month for all those gigs of things from Google Drive, but it's all emails.
Yeah.
I had to start paying for my Gmail.
That's
just
crazy.
Because there were so many emails. And it's all the pictures that are in it, too.
Yeah.
Although there's also, like, old, like, usernames and passwords in there. Like, I could spend just cleaning up that old email is just page, click, 50 at a time, delete, delete.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of emails.
Should just pay some Filipino guy to do it for you on Fiverr or something.
Yeah. He's writing down my username and password to stuff.
Sure. Just make sure you reset it after the gig's done.
I mean, I think a lot of submissions come from when people look at the videos and realize we're local. And you know, some of them are just kind of like, oh, hey, I recognize that area. I've had people who we filmed their stuff that were instantly like, yeah, I decided to submit when I realized like where you guys were.
Yeah.
Because I know these backgrounds, I know these roads.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to kind of have, because it's very Pennsylvanian in its own way.
Yeah.
Like the show, I mean.
Do you ever have any like run-ins with like police, like wondering why you're filming in like a parking lot or anything like that?
Trying to remember if actual
like
police,
like security, like discount cop guys come up to you.
Fish and Game.
Yeah.
Those seem to be DCNR guys. If we're at a state park, because we're doing something that isn't walking a dog or going fishing.
Mm.
So they're just curious. We had one guy who told us to, like, you can keep going, but I know you shouldn't be doing this here. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm taking pictures of a car. I know what you're doing. And I'm like, I don't want to get into it with this fat guy who's he probably was an officer at some point, and this is his retirement job at this tiny town park.
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere, him with his, Glock 27 or whatever.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Part of Fish and Game is trying to find people who are like doing meth in the park or trying to deal.
Sure.
I don't know what.
For sure. Doing meth. Oh shit.
Yeah, it's Pennsylvania.
Yeah, for sure.
There was that one time when that cop followed us back and I didn't even know he was there when we did the Mach-E.
Yeah.
But I didn't know like if he was just following the car because he was interested. But the guy who was filming us was also an officer. So, or the volunteer who had the Mach-E was also an officer. But he didn't tell me because he didn't look like one. He didn't have
the cop face.
Yeah, it's very specific, that sharp, steel, sarcastic smile.
Yeah.
That probably comes with enforcing laws that you may not agree with personally. And also,
that's dark, dude. Way to dig deep for that.
I mean, I honestly don't think that officer was in the lot for anything related to us. Like, because he came in and then he just turned around and left. I think he was just banging a Yui.
No, okay.
But I just don't. I don't know. It was just weird because I'm like, you guys are coming in and like directly behind you is a police car, but they didn't follow like into the lot. It was just kind of like and turning around.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I wish I had phrased it when I told you guys about it, like in a better way so that it didn't seem like this is something you need to worry about. I'm like, but yeah, it's just interesting stuff for the most part.
No, that's sick. So let me ask you this. I know you guys have traveled around quite a bit to do the podcast, like namely New Zealand. You bring up New Zealand all the time and like a lot of this stuff. Yeah. Where's a place you'd really like to go to review like a car that's not in the US?
I want to, next up is Australia at some point, and I want to review a Great Wall, which is a Chinese knockoff pickup truck.
Interesting.
I want to get underneath this thing and find out how they build them that cheap. They existed in Australia, and my one friend who does construction down there, or builder. There's a difference between construction, builder, carpenter, something. Well, I guess his company can be contracted, and then they will subcontract out. They will build a house.
Yeah.
And then anyway, so shout out to Bryce Johnson, and he said some of my guys do buy Great Walls. But it's like you could buy a new Great Wall for the price of like a 20-year-old Toyota pickup truck. So, and he said, oh, still like a Hilux there, Tacoma here. So the used Hilux will be just as good, if not better, than a Great Wall. But maybe for some reason you want a new car. You want a new pickup truck. And I have this amount of money. So yes, you can buy a Chinese pickup truck for say X amount of money, and it will be good for 3 years or something like that, and then sell it off.
I would love to go to Japan, but I recognize how big of an undertaking that would be because of the language barrier. I had a friend go to Japan and say it was difficult because unless you have someone who knows the language to guide you through it, you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
Because, the citizens do speak English, but it's not to the point that you would feel accommodated. And again, it's their country. They shouldn't feel like they have to accommodate us. But also it's like all the places we've gone are sort of like just English speaking countries.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like,
know people like when you go there, do you have like an idea like, oh, we're gonna go meet up with like Connor and he's gonna be our like contact and get us to
I don't want to go to another country if I don't have a fixer.
For sure.
Which is just a friend guide who knows the local area and can help us.
And who is off work the entire time that we're there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the big thing of like, we cannot be left to our own devices. Otherwise we like, especially me, like I will screw something up. And
man.
so it's like I just
funny.
don't want to like, because there's cultural differences. Like I
Oh,
don't
of
want
course,
to say
yeah.
or do the wrong thing. You know. But yeah, those are the main places that I think of. I mean, I've always wanted to go back to the UK just because I love the UK, but that's not like a priority to me, I suppose. It would be nice to do if I could do it, but I'm not, you know, trying to have it penciled in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a challenge filming in every other country we've been in so far, because, and by other countries I mean the UK and New Zealand.
Yeah.
But they didn't have large parking lots.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that in one of your podcasts. You said you need, if you do one in Ireland, you said I need a guy with like some land, like a farm or like some industrial complex.
Yeah. It's hard to get those big shots if I can't back up. I mean, New Zealand was, the good thing about New Zealand is no one really cares if you're filming something, because whatever. And also you just drive out of town a little bit and then there's no one around.
Yeah.
And also, like, their relationship with police is totally different than ours. It's not, for lack of a better term, it's nowhere near as antagonistic as it is here. And also, he said, well, our police are so well funded, they don't really have to
nickel and dime the citizens.
Yeah,
bullshit.
There's no real stop and frisk. There's no speed traps. So they have their speed cameras, which they'll just mail you a thing.
Yeah.
But as you know, speed traps for like shakedowns, like, hey, it's such and such a month.
Yeah.
You need the budget.
Here
they are. They'll be sitting out on 78 looking for out-of-state plates because they're not going to come in and fight the ticket.
Yeah.
So there's that. So we could just sort of film on the side of the road and no big deal. Germany, at some point, I was meeting with a guy, in fact, this morning, that one guy who offered to be a fixer who's from Ole Valley.
Oh, wow.
And who's now living most part-time, who I think he has dual citizenship now. He gave me his card. He's like a corporate investor consultant or something for like me. I forget what. Something finance something. He's doing well. He was wearing a Submariner. And so we had lunch at Market Square. And he gave me his card, and he more or less had similar questions to you, and I had questions about investing. But since Americans are back on Germany's shit list, COVID shit list, there's no traveling for the foreseeable future. But he could be someone who, if it's not him, he knows people in the car scene over there who could help us. His name's Gunnar.
Nice.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, that's sick.
So I do want to go to Germany.
Yeah.
Germany and Australia.
Yeah. And I'm Japan, and I'll throw Puerto Rico in there because it's still America, but it's somewhere that I've never been. And like,
oh, bro, if you go, let me be your fixer, bro. Seriously, I'll go. I have so much family down there.
Yeah. Well, so do I.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm the only person in my immediate family who's never been.
Wow, dude.
And that's because I don't know. Like, I was kind of a homebody as a kid, and I just didn't want to go any of the other times that they were going, not thinking that I was missing out on some cultural milestone in my life.
Yeah.
Or about my heritage. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, dude.
It's something I feel I was missing out on. But
nah, for sure.
Now, obviously, like, it's a regret.
Are there like, I'm trying to think if there's definitely a car scene in PR.
Oh yeah.
But I'm wondering, like, what do they have there that wouldn't be in mainland America? I can't think of anything specific.
Of anything either. And I know that there are a lot of people who, at least among my like Instagram followers, who have talked about like, oh, you gotta come to Puerto Rico. Like, there's so much stuff here. But it's almost like it's so daunting. I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
It'd be neat if they have different import laws down there, and we can get like JDM stuff that isn't available here yet. That'd be neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. Let me ask you this: money is no object. What car are you getting?
That is a good question, because like
So Elon finds my videos interesting, and he says, I want to buy you something. Okay, let's also assume that I have a place to put it.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I've already moved to the point where I finally found a house with a pole barn in the backyard to just store stuff. See, I think on obtainable things. Yeah. Because right now I just have Toyota 4Runner and Delica on my mind.
Yeah.
So money no object is like, I don't really want something, because I've driven it. We've driven exotics now. And I'm like, McLaren 675 LT. I was like, it's really fast. It's uncomfortable as hell. Let
me give you mine.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so have you heard of this vehicle? It's called the Hennessy Venom GT.
Yep.
I want it.
It's the Lamborghini Vision V12.
Oh my god.
Which is
hypercar status.
Yeah, it's absurd. Yeah. It's absurd. And like, but the thing is that like, I say that, but would I really drive it?
Yeah.
Like with any regularity? It's like most of the things I would want some utility to it.
For sure.
I would want to take more than one other person, or in the case of the Vision V12, just me.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the car we're doing on Monday, I really enjoyed. And I think if I had a lot of money, I would consider getting it. But it's also something where, you know, my needs are maybe different in the sense that, you know, I like having family to haul around.
For sure.
And so it would be easy to do that. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I try not to think, like, if money were no object, I wouldn't really be looking at a car. There would be other things I'd be using the money for.
If we include builds in this, someone build me a 63 convertible Ford Galaxy with a turbo LS in it, so I can have and have it have an overdrive gear, like hooked up. Yeah, well then I would. It would be a turbo LS Ford Galaxy hooked up to a 4L80 transmission, Ford 8.8 rear end, big radiator, and find a way to keep the motherfucker cool, and all build it to the point where I don't have to do anything but turn the key. Because I learned with the Falcon, you modify a car, it's a pain in the ass. And then you got to worry about cooling and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So some company not Roadkill, they get paid by Mopar and other people. But someone say, we will finance this build. And this would be an $80,000 to $90,000 build. Where
spare no expense, bro.
Yeah.
Cool
and also have them do the test and tune.
Yeah.
Get all the kinks out, because there's always like a few things to repair in the first 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
Or give it back to me and I just take it back, which is really just paying Bruce Henn to do it.
Yeah.
Just like, when it's done, it's done. And then find another guy for like the interior work. And then, of course, this is all predicated on me having a house with a pole barn in the back, because that's a long vehicle. So I can just cruise around in it. That would be cool. And I get, like, you could toy with me the idea, my obsession with like status and stuff like that. I guess a Maybach, but I think if I had something like that, it would just turn into a car. It wouldn't be all that special.
Oh, I would love a Batmobile, or alternately,
which Batmobile?
Animated series, or Batman '89. But still, the or like take a modern, well-performing car that has like an AMC Eagle body kit, or just get an AMC Eagle. And have it.
They put LSs in those things.
Yeah, I believe it, and just have it so that it's such a way that, like, if money's no object, then I could.
Well, the Morvair, the Morvair from Matt's Off-Road Recovery, that has an LS, but it still has all-wheel drive. So you could retain the spirit of the Eagle with all-wheel drive with an LS.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be so nice.
Let me ask you this. Over the last... Oh, yeah.
If we're really talking money is no object.
Yeah.
Hey, Tesla, just put a Tesla driveline in a classic car. I think that's going to be the move once those things come down in price, because you have all that space in those old cars, huge engine, fill it up with fucking batteries. And there's already a company that just puts an electric motor on the drive shaft.
You know, Rich Rebuilds?
Yeah.
He works with the guys that do, like, they do restorations in terms
Hell yeah.
I think EV West is what it's called? I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's like some electric vehicle conversion company. Yeah. That stuff's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like that Rich Rebuilds guy?
I'm not subscribed to him, but I know who he is, and I like, and he was on Rogan too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like, his whole, like, right to repair thing. I really
I'm all with
like,
that. Yeah.
That's the one thing that, like, I wouldn't get a Tesla for that reason. Yeah. Just because, like, that's the same reason I don't like Apple products. You know what I mean? Because they put all the lobbyists out there to fight right to repair.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Just my opinion. But yeah, let me ask you this. Just like over the last couple of years as you've been like reviewing all these cars, what is the best bang for your buck for like a daily commuter? Corolla?
That's always going to be the answer.
Yeah.
For now and forever.
Yeah.
Just you know,
you just want an car.
Yeah, and car.
That's not going to break.
Flashy.
Corolla.
Mm-hmm.
And like pick any one. They're all good.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the best martial art to teach someone who's young? Jiujitsu.
I would say
because you can be aggressive and you're not gonna send each other to the hospital. Yeah.
I think so.
And that you just I want to learn more about your sport. I just
man. I'll teach
my
you.
wrist, my knee.
Yeah.
Just be gentle, man.
Dude, I will. Dude, I'll do privates even, man. Like I've done that, you know what I mean? Even with you, like if you like buy me lunch or something, dude, honestly. Like for friends, I'm really reasonable.
Right. Okay.
I just want to double check to make sure we don't have any questions. Yeah, comments I don't usually bring up because it's usually
check
just
super
like,
Matt fast,
yeah. I can't get super chats yet because I'm not.
Oh, right.
Yeah. It'll be hopefully we can get you over the hump.
I appreciate, dude. I'm so grateful that you guys have come on to the show, man. Like,
well,
I've been huge fans of your channel since you showed me it,
yeah.
and you know what I mean. It's been like one of my favorite things. I used to work in IT. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, you told me security.
Yeah. Just networking and everything like that. But dude, like when the ticket queues dry, I needed something to watch, and it was a lot. That's how I learned about, that's how I became a car guy. Through you guys, practically.
It's so awesome.
It is, man. Let me ask you this: if you could make videos about anything else and like have success doing it, what else would it be? Like
literature narration. I do things about literature.
Yeah. Like specifically a topic in literature?
Early American Romanticism and Modernism.
Cool.
But we already have Crash Course, and they do that. Okay. But I can kind of put it into RCR a little bit. If I could do videos about other things, I'd like to talk about skiing more, like review skis. Yeah, I used to teach it.
Oh, shit, dude.
So
I just started snowboarding like 2 years ago. I'm dog shit at it, but
it's a lifelong sport. You can do it for a while. But all my injuries, my knees, my wrist, they're all skiing because I love going fast.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, it's so fun to go fast. But I think with snowboarding, you can hurt your hips and actually your back.
Oh, for sure.
Because you're landing on your tailbone, and that force goes into your spine.
Yeah, we were talking about this leaving your house the day I did your guys' podcast, where like the one time I hurt myself was because like there was a kid that I was like, get out of the fucking way, and I had to eat shit to save him. Yeah. And that's the one that like made me go, all right, I'm done for the day once I get to the bottom of the hill.
If the videos that I make with my nephew could make money,
dude,
that'd be so dope. Like
what the review? Limited time Roman. Yeah, the reviews, right? You review like the chip.
It's also a thing where like the only reason I allow us to do it is because I don't have to worry about people actually watching it.
Yeah.
Like if it were a thing where it was actually like a big number of eyes, like obviously that's kind of like giving me pause because, I'm doing it mostly for our family and friends. Because, we get...
And also those are going to be great for like looking back at him when he's little.
Yeah. Dude, your nephew's adorable too. Like I showed one of your videos to my son. I guess like you had like one, it was like, I think like dill pickle chips or something that one of them companies were doing. And my son was like eating them. I'm like, I just saw Nick eating these. Look at this video.
Those were nasty.
Yeah,
I'm not into dill
They're like
pickle
salt
chips.
and vinegar, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. That's so funny, man.
Do you remember when hers did ketchup flavored chips?
Yes.
Or was it hers or was it Lay's or?
I don't remember, but I remember them not being that bad.
They weren't bad, but
it's like you are very much eating a pack of ketchup.
Yeah.
But with a little bit of potato chip flavor. Because I guess the sensation they're going for is ketchup and fries, but that's not really what you get.
No.
Yeah.
Was it Ruffles,
sure.
maybe? I remember.
I think Ruffles was it.
Yeah.
Because I remember eating one. And it had that rigid, like the ridges.
They had them in the cafeteria in high school, so this was late 90s. And we all got them because we never saw this before. Ooh, new potato chip in the snack line. Because the snack line was like just this like little tiny rack by the cash register. But we all like, this is dumb because half of us were dipping our plain chips in ketchup anyway. Because I remember back then, it was just any calorie in a desert. Just I just need food.
Yeah.
Because this was 90s lunches and they were bad.
For sure. Oh, hers. That's gadget.
Hers. As good as when you aren't baked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny as hell.
I can absolutely believe that.
I remember the first time I got high, I was eating salsa out of a can, and it was the greatest thing in the world. Just this is a taste. This is a taste carnival.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah. Yo, so like, let's talk a little about like the Appalachian Trail stuff that you're doing, dude.
Okay.
So like, that's like you're not making money off that in any capacity, are you?
I get donations, which pretty much just covers gas.
Yeah.
It's a substitute for being a father. It fills that void of caring for other people in my immediate area.
Yeah.
And I get a wonderful dopamine dump from helping people get to either the Walmart or somewhere else.
Have you ever heard any crazy stories from somebody? Like,
oh my goodness.
Give me one from like this year. Or maybe last year.
I'm trying to think because some of these stories are people who are on the. You know how people overshare?
For sure. Especially you're picking them up. They have intrinsic trust. Like, oh, you're trusting me to get in your car. Let me tell you about like this.
There's stories about people who's had family problems and they're just leaving and then they can live on the trail for a little bit. There's some people who do live on the trail. They yo-yo. They go up and back because there is a community and they can just sort of exist in it, get odd jobs, and then just sort of live a very minimalist lifestyle, whatever lives on their
So they're basically just like homeless. Like,
they are. Yeah, they're
basically
homeless,
I am, dude. I live in a school bus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
no judgment here.
You have options.
For sure. There's permanence and like there's resources in here that are
There are some
nice.
people who are on the trail who don't have a home to go back to or don't have a network to. I mean, there are people who are living on the trail, but then they have a network of places they stay. And they often, the people who are living on the trail are also IT people who know that at any moment they can go back. There's a job waiting for me somewhere with my skill set.
Yeah.
But then there are some people who don't, who have become very adaptable at working that emotional whip.
Yeah.
And that is also a skill. But as far as fun stories,
social engineering.
There was one guy who worked on Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis. He was a lighting guy who was up on like a scissor lift. Yeah. Like lighting outdoor sets. And he told me most of the time he just cruised Tinder up there. And the stories that I got this year, this was a bubble that we've never seen of hikers coming through. I must have carried over 100 people, excuse me, in Goldie, our camera car, just going picking them up and bringing them back. Because everybody who wanted to go last year couldn't, so in 2020, so they all came in 2021. Most of the I'm trying to remember a specific one because people also the hikers, they all just merge together.
Yeah, it's all like one dude.
Being a traveling musician,
stinky
the towns move together. Yeah. It's just one stage, it's another stage. the bar, the venue owners all start getting the same look to them.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just another bar bathroom where the hot water doesn't work. And
yeah.
Most of them was, I need a washer and dryer, and I need a place where's the nearest hotel? What's the cheapest hotel? How late does Walmart close? Can you come and pick us up tomorrow morning at 6:30 in the morning? We want to get an early start. No, I don't get up that early.
Yeah.
No, man. Not for $10.
Yeah, not for $10 for sure.
To drive you around.
Yeah, get an Uber, dude. For that.
When people tell me their stories, sometimes they're stories of trial and tribulation. Oh, the cops, this or that, or I look like a homeless person, I'm getting hassled. I'm trying to think of a good podcast story, and honestly, from this past year, I can't think of one. One guy told me that he has trench foot because he wasn't able, there was a stretch of rain and he couldn't dry his socks out.
No.
So he was hiking in socks, and the skin gets, expands on your foot. And then from all the walking, it folds in on itself, and the skin starts rubbing on itself, and you get these sores and welts and stuff that then can't heal because
you keep walking on
yeah,
it.
So,
that's
and then of course he had to show me.
Oh, man.
I'm like, put your freaking foot with your toe. I guess in jiu-jitsu, your toenails sometimes just, I'm done. They just go.
Yeah.
Hikers, that happened to me once a year. I was just out clipping my toenails, and I clipped, and there's the entire toenail just came off.
Man, that's fun.
It wasn't one of the big ones. It wasn't one of the important ones.
It wasn't one of the important ones. It's fucked.
And it was weird because there was no feeling at all.
Yeah.
It just, I'm done. There was just so much rubbing.
Yeah.
So
no, man. I'll say this about jiu-jitsu, man. Like, we're really clean people. Like, if you we're really scared of staph. I don't know if you've ever gotten a staph infection.
No, but I've heard about it.
Yeah,
it's no joke.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Like, I had one that I got back from a tournament. It was called impetigo. It's like a flesh-eating bacteria thing. Dude, I had these little patches of like these scabs that would show up. I had a beard at the time, and it was on this side of my face. One was coming under the beard. And, like, we were actually hiking the Adirondacks before I realized, like, I had something. I thought that I had a bunch of mosquito bites, and I was just scratching them raw. Because, like, when I thought that's what it was. But then I had this big fucking one on my lower back, and I'm like, something's wrong. And it took me, like, because I went hiking with, like my ex-girlfriend at the time and one of my jiu-jitsu buddies. And he had the similar kind of thing going on as well. And he's like, dude, I think we have something. I'm like, I think we do. Like, it took me him saying that for me to go, like, I was just thinking, like, man, I'm getting old. My body doesn't heal right anymore.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it turned out
Did
I
it
had
keep
that
bleeding?
shit.
They kept bleeding?
It wasn't that they were bleeding. They were just like, they wouldn't dry. Like, you know how a scab's supposed to dry? They wouldn't. It stayed like oozy. And gross. Yeah.
So what was the treatment?
Antibiotics. Yeah. When we got back from the Adirondacks, we hiked Mount Marcy and a bunch of other shit. So I can imagine, like, dude, like, not having a plan. Like, right when I got back the first day, I'm like, we go to fucking like a minute clinic, and like I was like, yo, this is what happened. Like, I need to fucking get this treated. And then like, it was crazy. Like, a week later or something, I was good. Like,
was it just pills?
Yeah, antibiotic pills.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you the exact ones. Probably penicillin or some discount version of it, Yeah. But yeah, that shit was crazy. Anyway, that's why when people like bring up like even COVID now is like something that like comes up. It's like, dude, we're already very conscious of getting each other sick with shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you have COVID, like, stay the fuck away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people on the trail are scared. Like, ticks are such a real thing, and that
I bet,
Lyme disease is freaky as hell.
It must be, dude.
Which keeps me off. Which means I don't hike unless I've been hiking in the winter and in the fall. Like, when it's cold out, when the ticks are done. Dude. That long grass, they'll find a way to get up your shorts. I don't need this come to Jesus moment or the feeling of what Alan Watts called the mystical experience out here. I think the mystical experience in hiking is just you're really tired and then you see a beautiful sunset.
Yeah. There is something to say about the solace you get from like being in nature, like with the fire going, like, as the night kind of comes down. There's something awesome about that. But I can have that with the bus. Like I just drive somewhere where like it's really scenic. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, woods, this is cool.
Speaking of daylight, I do have to get moving because the
definitely.
headlights on a Toyota Sierra are quite bad.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Well, yo, any like, let me have, I have one last question. Let me just give you, because this is something I'm curious about with, like the mental stuff. I know for a fact that like Nick, we discussed like anxiety issues that we've had before, like with open mics being gone, like it's been a huge problem for me. But how do you guys navigate like the fucking disgusting swamp that is like comment sections on YouTube?
But I don't read,
You don't ever read them ever?
Well, I mean, I read them sometimes
because you'll read the live stuff, right? When the people are interacting with you.
Here's my mental state.
Yeah.
This comes from being a teacher.
Yeah.
YouTube comments are the kids in the back of the class who are just making noise because they want attention.
Yeah.
That's it.
And some of them are nice, but some of them are not so nice. And, you know, once you are able to compartmentalize that attitude, then it doesn't bother you as much. But I still don't want to, like, I still don't necessarily go down in there to look at them. And my approach has always been, like, thank people for the good comments and ignore all the bad
ones.
Because
Yeah.
like,
reinforce positive behavior.
Yeah, because a lot of the times people go all their lives wanting someone that they admire to notice them.
Yeah, acknowledge them.
And yet, like, the person will acknowledge the one who's like calling them a piece of shit or some horrible name. And I'm like, why does that person get the response? Why is it not the cool person who's been nice the entire time? It's like, those are the people who deserve to get recognized. And so I go out of my way to, like, when people say nice things, to kind of like say thank you. Hey, you didn't have to say that, but thank you for the kind words or the compliments. And I, in a general sense, you know, if you just avoid it, I'm sure there's constructive criticism that you can learn from in there somewhere, but it's so hard to drown out the rest of it and, you know, winnow the wheat from the chaff, so to say. And so you end up just kind of skipping a lot of comment sections, and, you know, it is what it is, but that's part of the job.
No.
And if that's the worst I have to deal with, then I'm still considering myself blessed.
Yeah, seriously.
I'll take it over food service. I'll take it over lunch duty.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show. What's next for RCR as we close? When's the album coming out?
Oh, I plan on releasing like an EP in December.
Nice. That cool. Is, around Christmas?
Yeah, a little bit holiday music, a little bit just like not holiday music, but it's something that I've been working on for a bit. I just haven't gotten it into the studio yet, so I'm going to the studio in October. I plan on just like knocking them all out because there aren't that many songs.
Yeah.
But it's something nice where it's very minimalist, and I don't want it to be something that I engage all of my like sort of I don't want to say time and energy, because obviously I am putting time and energy into it, but I don't need it to be spectacular.
Yeah.
I just like the idea of like a stripped down sort of minimalist approach. So yeah, that's kind of what's on for me. But for the most part, I'm working on an RCR stories right now that I'm hoping to have out in like the first week of October.
Nice.
And so, yeah, that's kind of the big thing. And in addition to like our weekly videos, which we have a full slate through October. So
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything specific coming from you?
The guy, JP Hunt, the guy who owned the Lotus Evora GT. He has a YouTube channel.
Oh, I don't remember.
He's 3D printing brackets for the Sarah, so we can hopefully get those fog lights on there, which will give me additional forward illumination.
Was the drive here good for you guys? Generally?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, it was annoying because of, like I mentioned, the GPS thing taking me through nothing but back roads.
Yeah, this is 78 to Route 100 for me.
Yeah,
so whatever.
Cool. Nice. Awesome. Well, yo, thank you guys again so much for coming on the show, dude.
Thank you, dude.
Yep, thank you. You want to take the Sarah once around the parking lot?
Oh, fuck yeah, I do. Okay. All right, guys, take it easy.
Have a good one, everyone.